There is such a creature in the world. They were discovered by a few people, but it has not been confirmed to exist. We refer to this group of creatures as unidentified mysterious animal, unidentified organism, UMA for short. Hello and welcome to the UMA video series. If you were anywhere in the world, most likely to exist, large species that have not yet been discovered by humans, that is without a doubt our vast sea monster sightings from all over the world. Countless. Like the sea serpent we talked about before, and so on. These are full of stories and sightings of strange colors. It constantly inspires people's curiosity and desire to explore. And today I'm going to share with you is another bizarre and unique category of sea monsters, giant jellyfish. Giant jellyfish, as the name suggests, can be simple. Single understanding is a way beyond of human large cognition. Invertebrates of plankton. The noun itself, it is generally used to refer to the largest jellyfish species in the world, Arctic gap jellyfish, also known as missing jellyfish. The maximum diameter of its umbrella can reach about 2.5 meters. The tentacles can reach a terrifying 36 meters. But the giant jellyfish in this video, it could be several times the size of the missing jellyfish. Even a dozen times. Imagine that. A huge. They're eating big fish again, and contain highly toxic underwater creatures. What kind of image should it be? 1957, British science fiction writer Eric Frank Russell contains a series of anomalies that challenged a system and compile it into a book. It's called World Mystery. Here are his few non-fiction works. One of the books, creations dedicated to the theme of sea monsters, and mentioned a story from 1953. A man named Australian divers at Christopher Flaw, working in the South Pacific, citing reports of sea monsters. Here's what the person said. A 15-foot shark, always wandering around me, but he didn't try to attack me. I kept wondering how deep he would dive. He was about 30 feet away from me, hovering about 20 feet taller than me, and I came underneath a jutting rock. It's an unfathomable fissure. It's dangerous to keep diving. I stood there and looked down into the abyss, and the sharks are waiting for my next move. Suddenly the water got noticeably colder. When the water temperature drops at an alarming rate, I see a black object rising from the darkness of the abyss, floating very slowly upward. When the last light fell on him, I can see it. It was a huge dark brown object. It's flat as a hole. The edges are jagged. It is estimated that there is a British He was moving very slowly, although no limbs or eyes were seen. But I know he's a living being. This terrifying shadow is still moving. When he floated over my height, the cold has become extremely intense. I don't know if it's because the water temperature is too low, the shark is just hanging there motionless. Just when I saw the fascination, the brown behemoth approached a shark and touched it with its upper surface. The shark immediately convulsed and without resistance, he was sucked into the monster's body. I stood there, too afraid to move. And the brown object, like when he surfaced, slowly sinking into the abyss, disappear into the darkness, and it's starting to warm up. God knows what this is, but I have no doubt he came from the primordial muck beneath countless heroes. 1968. A diver from a Chilean hydrographic expedition. It also describes a similar encounter in 1969. Soviet writer, chemist, Mikhail Yemtsev and Irem Karnov, meeting with witnesses in France. They interviewed the latter and documented the process in detail in their writings. In 3 cross-curricular. Due to the article, it's told in the first person. And I'll just summarize the key takeaways here. There were 7 of them on a research ship called the Stargazer, heading to Inagua Island off the Bahamas, only researching isotopic composition pairs of different water bodies, of animal metabolism. When they dive deep enough, a leopard shark slowly swims towards the diver, followed by a drooping shark, and schools of fish that seem to be on the run. Just then, it happened. Here's what the witness said. Everything happens in seconds. I didn't even have time to get through the intercom. Warn the team of the danger they are about to face. I saw that thing. A large brown object. The edges are dark blue. They're like jellyfish, slowly swim up from the depths, like a dirty, impenetrable mist. He covered all the blue. There seems to be no end to everything. I'm worried that my estimated size is wrong. He's obviously over a square kilometer in size. Bubbles flickering on a quivering, charred body, fading into the silt in the distance. His edges are like a giant powder cross-dressing murder weapon. Swing slowly. He rose slowly from the abyss like a ghost. Silent terror incarnate. I know what happened. Also saw everything, but my body is like the surroundings. Frozen frame. You can't move. Sharks will also be there. And the brown object just stopped, hovering on the bottom of a shark. Immediately after, as if an electric current hit everything. All fish are crooked. The body convulsed and trembled and began to sink slowly. The bubbling object is like a cup of sugar, melted into jelly. See here. Witnesses were instantly overwhelmed by unspeakable fear. He expressed that. I couldn't lift a finger. I just know it's pitch black. Arrhythmia. The body becomes disobedient. He stooped down, slowly fall into the abyss. When he woke up from the Moscow hospital, it's been 2 months, and all the while, he was in a coma. Captain Genia told him rescue squad's Mojester and his unconscious when it fell about 10 meters deep, and they caught up with him. His teeth were clenching into his mouth. Inability to breathe due to body cramps, including the captain. People who went to the rescue saw that huge brown monster. I took the paralyzed fish, slowly sinking into the cracks. When the divers were rescued on board, the captain crashed and decided to bomb the thing. But it didn't end up doing enough damage. The gap torn by the explosion slowly closed. In the end, only dead fish were left scattered on the water. In 1974, the American paranormal investigator, the book Devil's Triangle Records, November 1969. At that time, he was working for the United States, carried out a project, underwater filming for marine research projects, about 14 miles south of Bermuda, 30 to 40 feet of water. Saw the thing that had puzzled him for years. It was evening. Dim light shines through the sea. Appears distorted. He had just filmed the movement of an instrument buoy. I used up the last film. Then his security guard, Pat Portland, grabbed him by the shoulder and pointed down. Immediately after, he saw this enormous deep-sea behemoth. Here's what Renner said. I saw a shocking scene. I can't tell you how deep he is. I don't know how old he is. He's probably about 100 feet below us. It could be 150 feet. I can only roughly estimate his size. It could be 100 feet wide. It could be 75 feet, but never less than 50 feet in diameter. He takes on a perfect deep purple circle, is slowly moving towards us. His edges are pink and slow fluctuations, but the current didn't change. When we start to float, he also stopped rising, then slowly descend back to the dark depths, and we watched him until he disappeared. A long time has passed. They have been unable to confirm what kind of creature was that. Pat speculated that it was a giant squid, but until one day, Richard Wenner, Masuri Mitu in the Marshall Islands, saw a swarm of jellyfish, realizing the enormous creature he encountered that day. That's exactly what a jellyfish does. Later, in response he accepted American occult zoologist Gary interview with Manga Copra, and I ended up with this drawing of the creature. Time has come to the 21st Russian century. Journalist and writer Vlad Velnov in his 2010 The Secret Art of the Four Oceans, for a series of events including the above giant invertebrate sightings included and mentioned May 1990. Russia refers to my reports of mass die-offs of marine animals abound. Environmentalists attributing the incident to a submarine that was concealed by the media, or the direction of a national army caused by dumping chemicals. Leningrad. Biologists at the Institute of Hydrometeorology conducted independent inspection. The conclusion is the death of these marine creatures is affected by some kind of biotoxin. In Russia, there is no chemical industry that produces these toxins. Fast forward to 1991, many regions of the world, including coastal North Carolina, United Gulf States, of Mexico, and Sea of similar Japan. Fish and oceans happened. Biological mass death event. Scientists eventually attributed this to some undiscovered hatch creatures. Although it may be due to the Russian literature I was looking direction for, is wrong, or the strictness of the standards. I couldn't find any relevant reports from that and expert papers. But if there are researchers come to this conclusion, combined with human destruction of the oceans in recent years, I personally think throw the pot into a world that can. Unknown creatures that destroy the ecosystem. Obviously not very convincing. In addition, Vlad Velnov is still in the reported a report in the French media in 2005. The report mentioned French diver Henry Astor sign a contract with the Thai company, invited to work in the Gulf of Thailand. That day, he and his companions rode a special protective dragon, descended from the mother ship to a depth of approximately 80 meters. I didn't stop diving until I saw a school of big fish. Just then, they noticed a strange phenomenon. I saw the abyss below, a strange brown object of unimaginable size. It is slowly rising in the direction of the school of fish. When he reaches 10-15 meters away from the school of fish, the fish suddenly started acting weird. Individuals suddenly become rigid, then roll over sideways, slowly sink the brown mass. Immediately after, all the fish around met the same fate. Henry's partner ignored his objections, decided to come a little bit downstream and see what happened. But 15 minutes later, he still hasn't returned. Henry immediately sounded the alarm. As the rescuers descended to their position, we found nothing. That brown behemoth has sunk into the depths of the sea. They even got the body of the diver. Didn't find it either. Above, there are reports of giant jellyfish sightings. In fact, for the current known eyewitnesses to giant jellyfish, is it a jellyfish or not? The opinions of relevant scholars are not uniform. Editor of the Journal of the United Nations International Organization 1972 magazine. The sighting of Christopher Flop in '53. The analysis is carried out in the article. He believes that although the event is dated 1953, but because of the eyewitness accounts we're seeing now, is editing the original document on Professor Russell. Make a reduced version, so we can't verify a lot of information. But he thinks this incident cannot be completely characterized as fiction. Because of the creatures described by eyewitnesses. Sounds a lot like an umbrella for life in the deep sea. A giant octopus mentioned above. Mysterious zoologist at home in Manjack. Make it clear in the work. Giant jellyfish near Bermuda. It's possible. He believes that despite the size of the organism, it's limited in many ways. But in terms of the jellyfish species found, it is theoretically possible that there is indeed a types of jellyfish that have not yet been discovered by humans. Dr. Carl Schuck, a mystic zoologist, believes the divers didn't see any tentacles in the creature. Some hedgehogs are. In particular, the deep-sea species really didn't take action. Of the shark. You can also use the toxic literatures of giant jellyfish to explain that he's here, particularly mentioning a similar species, Plasmodium. This is a very rare large jellyfish, Yang deficiency jellyfish family without tentacles. In the Pacific Ocean, the cold waters around the North Atlantic and Antarctic, have found umbrella is wide and thin. The largest individual diameter ever discovered. Reach about 1 meter. There are a large number of scattered surface distributions and cilia. Unlike our common moon jellyfish, the species of the abyss jellyfish did not make a move by the extensibility of the bulk body. Then kill it with the test body. This creature, they usually live at a depth of about 500-1,000 in medium waters. And in terms of form and habit, the giant jellyfish seen by eyewitnesses, except for body size differences, it does resemble the elemental jellyfish. You talk about spiny packs. Mystic zoologist Professor Chad Amonte, in 2,000 Years of North American Reviews, mentioned a report from the Internet News Group. The author of the article recounts his deceased friend, George Hale, in the 1970s, underwater welder for Gulf Oil. While working on an oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico, he had seen a giant that he couldn't describe. Invertebrate. For the size of that creature, humans are like ants. It was the first time he had seen such a thing. The last time I was afraid. This is him getting on the first helicopter back. He has not seen the sea since then. Hell description. The color and texture of the predator resemble sea anemones. The shape is similar to a starfish or a water system. This incident, it depicts something other than jellyfish. Another unknown giant cunning worm. In fact, considering all the known information, I find the giant jellyfish sightings plausible degree to be considered, but there is still the possibility that this creature exists. First of all the source I don't think is very clear. I couldn't find any of the original reports or detailed records of interviewee information. The original manuscript to the 1953 data, missing subject information in the 1968 incident, the finger plum files mentioned in the 2010 vintage data, all these events, etc. It's like hearing a legend. Remember the stories he heard from his mouth. Of course, this may be my personal authority factor, or poor information due to some historical issues, but I still feel that there is a key core element missing, and there is a possibility that this creature exists is because I think the jellyfish is an animal. Its own environmental adaptability is strong almost everywhere in the world, and found in waters of all depths. And the ecological performance of individual populations is amazing. Species like the lighthouse jellyfish, through water, reversal development between suckers and jellyfish. Theoretically, it is possible to avoid external factors, obtain immortality. And the jellyfish, it is one of the oldest multi-wonder animals on Earth. Modern research shows this creature 700 million years ago, even earlier Shinuan has appeared in ancient times. Old enough evolutionary history, stunning biological properties, coupled with the inclusiveness of the majestic sea, we have reason to believe a colony of giant jellyfish likely to live there, under the abyss that has not been explored by humans. And that's just my guess. But I also believe with the continuous development and progress of human civilization, sooner or later, we can overcome the difficulties and risks of deep-sea exploration. It is truly the most mysterious place on Earth. Alright, the last sentence is that the unknown is always greater than the known. This is also the charm of UMA. This video is here. Thanks for watching.